Good morning, Rotarians. Thank you for joining us. This club meeting is called to order. Hey, shortly, I'll be sharing my screen and leading us through another fun presentation to direct the conversation. Periodically, I'll bring it down so that we can see each other's beautiful and friendly faces and engage in more dialogue. Family and friends are always welcome to attend our club meetings. So don't hesitate to invite someone like maybe your local ping pong champion. Sure. Feel free to speak out as you would in an in-person meeting, but if you're not using your microphone, please be sure to put yourself on mute or be really quiet. Or maybe I'll mute your mic for the cost of a club fine. Okay, here we go. Well, welcome everybody to the Fortuna Sunrise Rotary Club meeting for June 9th, 2021, volume 49 of my presidential year. We have an outstanding Rotary Club, and I'm just so thankful to be a part of it. And at this time, I'll introduce any guests we may have. Look, no guests. Guess what? Well, you guys are fantastic anyway, and I'm glad you all showed up. Thanks for being here. Let's keep going then, I guess. Well, at this time, we typically be doing the flag salute, but why not a little American history lesson? Did you know on this day, 1934, Donald Duck made his first film appearance in The Little Wise Hen, a short film by Walt Disney. Also today, jumping forward a couple more years, 2008, American baseball player Ken Griffey Jr. hit his 600th career home run, becoming the sixth player in Major League history to accomplish the feat. That was today. Just a few years ago. Inspirational message. You have no control over how your story begins or ends, but by now you should know that all things have an ending. Every spark returns to darkness. Every sound returns to silence. Every flower returns to sleep with the earth. The journey of the sun and the moon is predictable, but yours is your ultimate art. Wow. And let's pass it over to Steve Garrison for the four-way test. Steve, my friend.
Four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Outstanding. That's some presidential material there, I'd say. Fantastic. Thank you, Steve. Announcements. Wow. So we got a list of announcements. When has this ever happened? 3 announcements on what's going on, and who knows? Anyway, Flag Day, Monday the 14th. That's coming up. That's this weekend. Rick, sounds like Kiwanis is doing it, but needs some help. You want to chime in and tell us?
Yeah, right. This Monday is the Flag Day, Monday the 14th. We're going to put flags out at 6:30, take them in at 6:30. And it's Kiwanis' time this week, but they don't have very many members, so they need some help. And so any of us that could show up would be a big help. So anyway, this Monday, 6:30 and 6:30. So okay. See you there.
Beautiful.
Thanks, Simon.
6:30. Monday. Okay. Super duper. Yeah, I see that message. Thanks, Aaron. All right, what else? In-person meetings next week. What? Yes, we'll all be congregating in a room instead of in our own places of residence looking at screens. It's going to be happening next week, except I will offer the Zoom meeting will be available for anybody that that can't make it, or you know, whatever the situation may be. There will be a Zoom option for as long as I'm president. I'll continue to have that up and running. So I'll bring a laptop. I'll you know, do the whole Zoom thing. You can tune in 2 ways to the meeting. So but I look forward to seeing some of y'all there. I've talked to Hot Brew. It is 100% on. So they're looking forward to having us back. And last but not least, we're all fired up to celebrate the contributions of our community. So yes, we're doing maybe a check presentation, maybe a little bit more. That'll be June 23rd, 2 weeks from today at 12:30 p.m. that afternoon. And so we're going to be inviting all of the sponsors and media folks, members of our club, community members, firefighters that want to join up and just celebrate this awesome fundraiser that we did for the Fortuna Fire Department, netting over $20,000 is what we raised. Well over $20,000.
Awesome. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Where is that gonna be, Simon?
It will be at the fire department, probably in the apparatus bay is what we're looking at. So we could get like a fire truck in the back. So June 23rd, 12:30 p.m. Mark your calendars. I'll let you know about it, obviously next week and the day of. All confirmed with Lon. He'll a lot of his volunteers are working during the day, but he said whoever's on duty and then all the main movers and shakers there's I think 3 full-time employees. They'll be there and we're going to invite a lot of folks. So excited about that. It'll be great to do the culmination of all of our hard work over the last 2.5 months. So thank you so much, everybody. Cool. Well, let's see. Any just announcements on that event tip? Anything's going on in the community that you feel would be good to share with folks in our club?
I have a question about the All Fired Up fundraiser, and sorry I missed the meeting last week if this was covered. It's old news, but
No worries.
Towards the end of the drive-through dinner, I was working in the kitchen, and Don had a lot of leftover tri-tip, and so he started selling it, but he didn't take any money at the time, and I bought 2 of them. What did we ever? Dawn's raising her finger, so.
I was going to ask that too, because I owe money and I didn't know who to give it to. That was all. I just thank you for reminding me to say something.
Okay, yeah, they were excellent. Myself and the family really enjoyed that tri-tip, and just want to make sure I was contributing my fair amount. Dawn said, let's just take care of it later down the road, so.
You are really causing Bob Judavine great pains by bringing extra money into this.
Well, there was a lot of tri-tip, and I don't, it probably went to the fire department or something eventually, but.
They all sold by the time we left.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Sal, we sold them all.
Keith
all
was
that afternoon.
Money.
So.
Oh, fantastic. That must have been while I was like mopping the floor or something.
Yeah, it was around $300, I think we collected that day, plus then I guess a little bit more to come in. So that's good.
Okay.
And you guys are welcome to just drop by the bank if that works for you.
This morning somebody told me that the meeting was going to be a roast, but I didn't know it was going to be this kind of roast.
Well, so the question is, what would I drop by the bank?
Well, about $30.
Okay.
Just drop off your credit card. It'll be fine.
Sal, I don't know what they were selling them for, my friends. So maybe John can add that.
They were asking what was the price. What were we selling the tri-tip roast for night of? 15, 20, 40, 50?
It was 20. I paid 20.
$20 a roast.
Well, it was $20. They were paying $20 for a bag, and I think there were a couple roasts in the bag. I don't remember exactly.
It was $20, and there were 4 roasts in the bag that I got.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
$5 each.
So I took 2, so that'd be $10.
That's right.
There you go. $10. That's a deal.
Everybody needs to get their money in. There's a lot at stake here.
Ooh, Carrie Anderson.
Okay, so I'm changing the subject a little bit, but not a whole lot actually. Just to let everybody know, I know everybody here likes to support our youth 4-H and FFA members. Redwood Acres Fair is looking a little bit different this year, but better than last year. On June 18th, the kids get to they actually get to go and have a showmanship show. So they will be at Redwood Acres doing a show on the 18th, and then the 19th and 20th, which is a Saturday and a Sunday, they will be having an actual auction this year. Last year they did it a little different. So for Redwood Acres, the community at large was not able to purchase any animals. But Carl Johnson is doing their auction. So just kind of maybe letting everybody know, maybe be on the lookout for that. I'm not quite sure. I'm sure you will see it on Facebook and it'll be shared that way. And Simon, once I have a little bit more information, I can share that with you. Maybe you can put it out to the club for anybody who's interested. But, you know, there's talking about meat shortages and all kinds of other things. Maybe a good time to stock up the freezer. There's a lot of kids that have put a lot of work into it. So anyway, get your steaks.
Yeah, there you go. Don't get Walt started about meat shortages, though. That's
well, and maybe that's not locally. That's, you know, they had the whole hacker thing, and I don't know, you know how they.
But hey,
Still a good cause.
It's always a good time to fill up your freezer with some meat and support our local youth. So sounds like a win-win to me. Yeah. Any other? That was a nice little dialogue there. Anybody else want to?
I have a quick announcement.
Please.
So in honor of the reopening day, June 16th, Wild Souls Ranch is having I think it's the first in-person chamber mixer. So we'll be having the chamber mix, the Fortuna chamber mixer will be up at the ranch from 5 to 7. I'm not in charge of it, so I don't have all the details, but it's going to be as you expect, as they normally are. But definitely, if you're wanting to go to a chamber mixer, come up and visit us. We'll be happy to host everybody. And there's still lots of outside time, so you can make ease into all that stuff. So we'll be happy to see everyone.
Oh man, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Take the whole entire day of June 16th and just cross it off the map, because we got Rotary in the morning, we got a chamber mixer at night, right? Then maybe work in the middle of the day. Who knows? Whatever you want. Cool. Awesome. Well, fantastic news. I'm going to keep going, I guess. Yes. Yeah, let's do it. Well, hey, as promised, Artists a Week. I keep doing it. Here we go. Keeping on with the tradition. So this week we're going to be looking at a famous photographer that goes by the name Platon. All right. And here's a self-portrait that he took here. You've got the little umbrella flash going on in the back. And he shoots on film, you know, which is what photographers did for a long time before they moved into the DSLR land, the digital photography. So let's look at his career a little bit. Excuse me. So he was raised in Greece, but moved to England at the age of 8. Platon studied graphic design at St. Martin's School of Art, and he was encouraged at his first experience with photography, or that's where he encountered his first experience with photography. He went on to receive a Master's of Fine Arts at the Royal College of Art, where he met his instructor and mentor, Jen Hind, who is of Vogue. And after working for British Vogue for several years, Platon was invited to New York City to work for the late John Kennedy Jr. for his political magazine, George. But it went on from there, shooting portraits for a range of international publications, including Rolling Stone, the New York Times Magazine, Vanity Fair, Esquire, GQ, the Sunday Times Magazine. Platon developed a special relationship with Time Magazine. He produced over 20 covers for them, and you've probably seen some of his work. I mean, you really would have to be living under a rock to have not seen some of this guy's work, because they're some of the most iconic photos of the last 25 years, I'd say. 2007, he photographed the Russian premier Vladimir Putin. You may have heard of him for Times Magazine's Person of the Year cover, and this image was awarded his first prize in the World Press Photo Contest. 2008, he signed a multi-year contract with the New Yorker, and as a staff photographer there, he's produced several large-scale photo essays, 2 of which won ASME awards in 2009 and 10. And here's some of his work. We've got cinematographer Spike Lee in the left-hand corner, dead center there. We've got formerly known as Mostef, now goes by Yasin Bey in the center there. And then on the right, we have some I believe they were, let's see, they're publication people for the Egyptians that were working basically in the news, covering the revolt that happened in the early 2000s there. So some of his work documents famous people, iconic people, politicians and stuff like that. And then some of his work is more geared to telling stories of things that are going on. And we're going to get into that in the next slide, which, oh, hey, I pressed the wrong button. There we go, which is human rights, something that he's a huge advocate for. So Platon's New Yorker portfolios have focused on things like the US military, which you'll see there on the left-hand side, portraits of world leaders, and also the civil rights movement. In 2009, Platon teamed up with Human Rights Watch to help them celebrate those who fight for equality and justice in countries suppressed by political forces. These projects have highlighted human rights defenders from Burma, as well as leaders from the Egyptian Revolution. Following his cover in Burma, Platon photographed for the cover of Times, and days after his release from house arrest. So this was, and I'm going to butcher the name, he photographed this person in Burma. It was Aung San Suu Kyi, maybe. And then in 2011, he was honored with the Peabody Award for his collaboration on the topic of Russia's civil society with the New Yorker magazine and Human Rights Watch. Not only that, he founded his own nonprofit foundation called the People's Portfolio. This foundation inspires to create it aspires, not inspires. It aspires to create a visual language that breaks barriers, expands dignity, fights discrimination, and enlists the public to support human rights around the world. He serves as creator director at large for the Center for Civil and Human Rights in Atlanta, Georgia. And so here we've just got, I mean, goodness, I know I'm going through all these facts, but let's just take a look at the work here because it's heavy, right? The connotations here. On the right, we've got a person who is a victim of a mine, stepped on a mine and missing both of his hands there. And I'm assuming blind too, by the way that his eyes are closed. And then we've got some refugees in Burma there in the center. And that's very common. You'll see this painted on white makeup. My wife went on a rotoplast mission to Myanmar for 2 weeks, and you'd see that a lot in the folks there. And these are children that all have HIV. These students, so they were in a hospital for students or for young people that were born with that disease. And then on the left, we have a wife of a fallen soldier. Right. And the story behind that was after the terrorist attacks of 9/11, her husband felt compelled to join the military. 1 year later was died in action. And so this really just somber, heavy emotional content stuff. Woo. And I'm trying to get through it without getting emotional, but man, there's something that a photographer can do in capturing a moment and telling a story, right? And you look at these pictures and they speak more than the words that I'm saying. And he just has this way of capturing that. And I think his stuff is just fantastic. Once again, process, right? Uses all film, still develops film. They use like a barrel scanner, I think, to scan his film. And then they're able to replicate it at very, very large sizes at high resolution. They've got some state-of-the-art technology. There's also a documentary on Netflix called Abstract. If you haven't seen it, it's a story of designers. It does like shoe designers, stage designers, lighting, architects, all these different people that design things. And he's one of the featured artists on it. There's a nice little 40-minute show about him. So I strongly suggest if you haven't checked out that series, it's really good. And the most fun part when I call on one of you. I think I'm going to call on Rotarian Penny Frigeau this morning because I haven't called on you for a while. And last time you did an outstanding job. Penny, are you there?
Oh, okay. Yeah, very impressive work. A great understanding of the value scale, high contrast. And he's made the leap from doing something to make a living to doing something that makes a difference. Obviously, he has taken the stance of standing up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. And that's a powerful thing to use his talent for. And I would guess that it's probably a process because he went from, very commercial interest to this, but really remarkable images. And this one in particular, let me see if I can.
The title on it's The Little Rock Nine.
Okay. I don't know what the title means, but a great group of diversified people for sure. Just in the what they're wearing and someone with a disability there, and looking out, very dramatic. I wish I knew more of the what the building is, who they are, what they represent. I don't know those things, but
does anybody want to help Penny out here with context? The Little Rock Nine. I'm sure some history buffs here.
I just looked it up. And the Little Rock Nine are 9 teams that came to be known as the first African-American students to enter Little Rock's Central High School 3 years earlier, following the Supreme Court ruling. The Little Rock School Board pledged to voluntarily desegregate its schools. So memory has it that that was a big state and federal change. Into this must have been, by their age group, I'm guessing this must have been around 65, 64 or so when they were students.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So anyway, it was interesting hearing you explain it too, not knowing the historical context. So now with that, anything else you want to add? Maybe some assumptions on what that building is in the back?
Well, what I like is it's a very dignified photograph, showing that these people that have been through something difficult and historic, and certainly took a lot of courage to do what they did. So just the way the clouds are, the setting, even the looks on their faces, just great work.
Yeah. Anybody else want to chime in there?
I think it says something to Platon's reputation and his integrity that they would all agree to assemble for a photograph in that way, because I suspect that that's not something that's just not something the group is really known for. And I like that it, obviously it's a color picture, but he decided he really wanted to show the contrasts, and then to have it in black and white. Like, obviously, he did it this way on purpose to really show those. I like it's all the diversity in front of that like solid edifice of Rock Central High School. Just he has all of this like fluid humanity in front of this very, very blocked background, which is pretty much how it evolved for them too. So I really appreciate that picture.
Wow.
And Simon, people like Spike Lee, who will go back and look at historical moments, and they'll choose to portray it in black and white as opposed to color, just because of the starkness gives it a historical bent, even though this is not necessarily a historical photograph at the moment, but it sure displays that historical significance. And I read a little more, and this is the landmark Brown versus Board of Education 1954 case, where the 9 students were the start of the end of segregation. So it's a landmark group of people, and he came to historically take this photo. It looks like maybe 50 years later.
Yeah, I think the governor of Alabama went back and kind of put in some litigation that actually pulled them out of the school after this too. So they were the first moving in that direction, but they were also, there was some speed bumps along the way to liberty and whatnot. One last thing, unless somebody else has something they want to join in. One last thing I'd like to point out, just you know, because I dig photography a lot. Another conscious choice he made was he got really low, right? He changed his viewpoint a little bit. And if you think about it, the photographer's probably on their stomach, if not kneeled down really low. And in doing that, it's a compositional tool called changing your viewpoint, right? And what it does is it makes your subject, your people that you're shooting, your building or whatever, look enormous, right? Look bigger, like they're looking down at you, or in this case, they're looking out kind of more, I don't know, maybe there's a variety of emotions on their faces. But I think that was a conscious choice too. Instead of standing at eye level, or sometimes a lot of times you'll see photographers get up on a stool or something, so they're looking down, you won't get the, you know, you'll thin out people's chins and stuff. Getting low is a little bit of a risk with people, but in the end, I think it makes them look more large and like they're towering over you in a lot of ways. And I think that was a conscious choice he made too. Penny, that was an outstanding job. You hit almost every single one of those, like, you know, art terms that should be in there. You talked about the contrast, you know, the juxtaposition of the two things there, and Dawn too. That was fantastic too. I almost want to let you off with no fine, but I don't know. Is Penny still there? Only needs $5 to the Century Club.
Oh, well, yes. Find me, of course.
Let's do it. $5 and you're in. Hey, fantastic. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna pull this down. Yeah, Dawn, I just saw that shot there. Yeah, that was a good observation. Okay, well, I was just taking a look. I think our speaker's a no-show, so we might get you out of here earlier. Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got one last little thing planned, and cool. And I was kind of, I had a big thing planned, but I'm glad I didn't put the final touches on it because that person's not here either. So.
Hey, Simon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, let's stop. What's up?
I have I missed the last two meetings because we were in our RV traveling.
Oh, this is a guilty admission here, Kurt.
Yeah. I need to come clean. So.
Okay. What? How was the RV? And
it was awesome. We just got it in January. Didn't have a lot of experience with it, but we just did a 2,500 mile trip, and had a blast. Really had a good time.
The maiden voyage. Have you named it?
Pearl.
No? Pearl?
Pearl.
Nice.
Yeah, Pearl's its name. It's a 30-foot Class C motorhome.
Beautiful.
So I figure since I missed 2 weeks, I probably ought to come up with like $40.
$40. Okay. And you're in the Century Club, sir. You want to pass it on, or you want to?
Foundation, please.
Foundation.
Yeah.
40 to Foundation. Outstanding. Thank you so much, Kurt.
Okay. Thank you. Good to be back.
Oh, it's good to have you back. But man, take a break. Enjoy it. Okay. And 20. You said what? 2,500 miles? 25,000.
Yeah.
2,500.
Short trip.
Short trip. What was one of the highlights of the trip? Any?
Well, we went to Utah, where I used to live, and saw some old friends and saw a lot of family and saw a lot of beautiful country. Been a few places I'd never been before. So it was just a good road trip. Lots of driving, but all good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
If a good group of friends of mine are talking about making a trip out to Utah, there's a theme park there called Evermore. It's just outside of Salt Lake City, and it's basically like a fantasy role-playing theme park. So everybody in it pretends to be people in this fantasy world, and then you go in as a character, and you can like arch, do archery, and you have to hit targets to get this thing, and go down to the bar and talk to the people. And there's all these little quests and stuff that you can do. It's like a live action role-playing theme park. Anyway, we're going to get a whole bunch of nerdy D&D guys in a van and drive out there, and it's going to be fantastic, I hope.
Yeah, I didn't make it there.
Dang. Okay, well, when we go, Kurt, ride shotgun, buddy.
Thanks.
All right. Well, heck, that's outstanding. $40 to foundation. Thank you so much, Kurt Weiss. Well, hey, I've been drawing everybody in the club, and I'm dag nabbit. Before I get out of here, I'm going to get just about everybody done. And I don't have an illustration this morning, but I did want to celebrate somebody here in the club who did something pretty freaking outstanding. And who would that be? Hey, it would be Aaron Dunn, of course. Masters in Art and Leadership and Cultural Management. What? Holy, I'm just going to keep this up on the screen for a half a second there. But Aaron, what do you have to say for yourself? That's congratulations.
Wow. Yeah, it's very odd not to have homework on the weekends anymore. And I just want to give a shout out to John Sapper, who was very supportive of the program when I first started. And I think he wrote a letter of recommendation for me too. But it just seems like it was just the other day that I started, but it was 2.5 years ago. So thank you for that acknowledgement. And I just got word that Sonny will be joining us shortly.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. So
that's arts leadership.
There you go. Let's drag this out for
Just
a little
kidding.
bit longer. So 2.5 years
yeah.
And you were doing this while working full time, just
yeah. And there were a lot of people helped me though. There were different projects and different things that people participated in, and I really appreciate it. And I only choose schools that have some form of yellow and green, and so Colorado State fit that bill. It's a little different shade than University of Oregon, but it helped with my decor, keeping things blue and yellow. I mean green and yellow. Sorry.
Aaron, tell them how many years it took you to get your master's degree.
I said 2.5.
No. Since when you graduated.
40 years. Yeah, so it was 40 years to the month of getting my diploma from my undergrad. So yeah, it took 40 years, I guess.
Hey, you know what? Okay, here's one of my, and this is probably somebody else's quote here, but here it is. Okay, I say this all the time. Like, live like there's no tomorrow, but learn like you'll live forever, right? So it's never too late to keep pursuing.
Never too late, never too old to learn. Although it was interesting being in classes with, people in their 20s and 30s who had just finished their undergrad. So it was interesting. I tried to add a perspective of the elder statesman, but
there's only like
interesting.
There's only like a 5-year difference between you and those kids, right?
Bless you, Simon. Bless you.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Congratulations, Aaron, once again. Yeah. Anybody else have any things that they want to fess up about? Wait, Frank Ramos, I just saw you pull that coffee cup up there. What does that coffee cup say? Here, I'm just buying time. Does that make your coffee cup you just pulled out? This black one, it looked like a nice one.
This Ross probably remembers. We got this when we were at a market in Seoul, South Korea, when we went to the international convention there 5 years ago. Ross, you believe that?
Yeah, I have a tie that matches that design.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about show of hands? Who's ready to do some international traveling? Yeah. Oh, yeah. 40,000 times over. Yeah. I know you see a lot of those. I don't know if any of you guys are on social media, you'll see a lot of those, like, I got vaccinated because they've been doing this, public outreach thing. It's like international travel. that would be mine. Rotoplas missions, please. Oh, look, and there he is. the man of mystery, Sonny Wong, has come to join us. Welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
We can.
All right. Good morning.
Outstanding. The funny thing is Sonny Wong is like less than a block away from my house. I could probably throw a rock from my porch and
I
hit
definitely would catch it.
Well, thanks for being here, Sonny. We've been talking, and honestly, I've been kind of just stalling a little bit. So I think I'm going to pass it over to you if you are ready. Did you want to do like a presentation when we put up some visuals or something like that?
You know, I didn't even really know what was expected here. I wasn't sure if I was fielding questions or, you know, so I don't really have a presentation.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, then maybe we just have a little bit of a dialogue or something like that.
Yeah, let's do that.
So Sonny Wong, how did you start in your artistic career? Was it at an early stage? Were you 5 years old? What was the spark?
Yeah, it was early. My mom and my grandma were both artists, and so it could have been hereditary, but it was something that was pushed on me if I was a way to have a timeout or chill out or, you know, sit down and draw something. And I just embraced it.
Nice.
If we were to go around town, since we're not senior art here, for people who are not familiar with your artwork, what would be some places they could see your art, whether your displayed art or maybe your commercial art?
Okay, well, I guess I'll start with commercial art. And so if you're shopping for coffee and you drink Humboldt Bay Coffee Company, I did all the graphics for them and the branding for them. If you're in Fortuna and ever visit the brewery, I did the logo for the Emerald Triangle IPA. They've got a neon light on the wall and they sell it in cans all over the place. If you're in Eureka, I've got a mural on 6th Street of a character of myself making a ship in a bottle. And that's on like 6th and F, the back of the candy store. There's a parking lot. Down by the Adorney Center, I also have a mural of a painting of myself skateboarding, big cartoon. And that's probably about it right now.
Now, I want to throw in, we have about 6 of your paintings hanging up at the diver still. So
That's
when
true.
when
Yes.
we open back up, when we get staff, people will be able to enjoy all of that. People love it. They always ask
That's
if you're
right.
Sean, and he tells them in great detail that you are not, he is not you. And
That's
so
right.
you get a
Thank you
lot
for that
of
reminder.
yeah, you get a lot of press just from people mistaking that. But yeah, people love the paintings in our restaurant. It's perfect.
Sonny, where do you get your inspiration and what is your process of creating a piece?
Well, my inspiration comes from many places. From when I was a child, it was cartoons like Scooby-Doo. Then when I got older and into art history, it was Japanese and Renaissance art. And now there's, with the internet, there's just so much good art out there. It's endless inspiration, really.
Nice. Sonny, you also are influenced by street art too, quite a bit. We've shared some more super huge names like Banksy and Blue, who's like the Italian street artist. Anyway, we've looked at some street art throughout my year. I've been doing kind of like an art theme, and so explain like street art to people a little bit, like the culture and how it's kind of come into more of a mainstream thing now, but maybe how it was when you were younger, how the perception of it changed, things like that.
Well, yeah, I think, so street art probably was spawned by graffiti art. And it was a way of people who didn't have access to a gallery or any other exposure, often because this was pre-internet or early internet. And as those things just became more culturally acceptable, you'd see it moving into the gallery, and then you see it also then being replicated on the streets as far as murals and other large outdoor spaces, which I think is awesome. There's a lot of organizations that go around the world and do huge mural festivals, and then after they're done, those murals stay there, and those places are beautified and become tourist destinations because of it.
Nice. How about your partnership with the Savage Henry magazine? I think that's a pretty outstanding testament to just kind of just a long relationship with a group, and how getting ready for each one of those covers, how you had to plan, et cetera, et cetera.
Well,
So
that was
maybe explain what that magazine is, because
okay. So Savage Henry was a magazine that started in Humboldt County in 2010. Just a group of people who were comedians and writers, and came up with this idea that, hey, we could probably get some sponsorship, get everyone together writing, whatever funny things they want to do, and put these out in a regular way. So they approached me. I knew most of them, and asked if I'd be interested in doing the covers. And I said, sure. I kind of always drew my art to kind of look like comic book covers. So I was ready. I was like, oh, this sounds fun. And after the first pilot issue was created, we saw instantly that they could get enough advertising to start doing this monthly. So I signed on to do the covers monthly. And yeah, it ran for, I did 100 issues straight, 100 months in a row. And the process was usually fly by the seat of my pants, because it took a lot of hours, like a job, to get each cover done. I'd put in 10 to 15, sometimes 20 hours. And I would get the theme of the magazine. There was a theme every month. And usually I was just staying up late, knocking them out the last couple of days before I had to get them to the printer. But I had very little oversight, as long as I didn't cross many lines, and had a lot of fun doing it. So,
so along those lines, just being somebody that's been in graphic design and stuff, occasionally you get clients that are like, you'll get great exposure if I do this. And I know a lot of us that are in the trenches are like, right? When do you determine that something is going to be a good partnership, for maybe not an exchange of fine money, but also going to, be good for your portfolio?
That's a great question, Simon. Because that comes up to artists all the time. It's like, hey, I don't have enough money to pay you, but you'll get the exposure. And there are plenty of times where that's true. And I've definitely taken on projects where that's all I got. Usually it's a gut feeling. If I felt like I like these people, and it is going to be something that I can use as a launching pad. I do see that often, though, where someone would, like, let's say for a company, for a logo, they'll say, hey, do my logo, you get exposure. Well, to me, that's not worth it anymore. If someone's serious about their business and they want a logo, and you got to treat the artist and the art the same way. And so, yeah, I tend to stay away from those types of things now, unless it was something big that's going to give me exposure nationally, not just exposure in Fortuna or exposure in Humboldt. That my time and values more than that. And I think a lot of artists should try to stick to their guns when it comes to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Sonny, on that topic, there's a great discussion about intellectual property after you've created a logo or design, and the company you designed it for takes it on as their own. What's your sense in that topic?
Well, as a kind of a smaller time artist in a smaller time area, it's hard to know where those kind of rights belong, and there should be a contract up front saying, like, hey, this is something you use one time, I retain the rights. Or if the company's buying the logo, they should pay for the logo and then have free opportunity to use it however they want. But that should be something that's discussed up front with the artist, so it's clear.
Are you in your studio right now? Is that a studio that you're in?
This is my front room, but it's actually my wife's home office.
Oh, I was gonna say, if you had some pieces there, you could turn your computer around and show us, but.
I mean, I could grab things off the wall. I definitely have a bunch of stuff up here if you want to see. I've got some landscapes, and
I think Ross too also suggested he could pull up some just images on the internet too. I mean,
yeah, but you never know what you're going to find on the internet. Here, I'll grab some. Here's a painting from Table Bluff.
And this is probably a plein air painting. So he went
That's
out
correct.
on location, painted this thing.
So here's kind of an abstract style that I do for my landscape painting. And like Simon said, it's plein air. So, I went out there, I sat there and I painted it in the 2 hours that I was there. Let's see what I have that's a different style.
I see a geisha up there on the wall, maybe one of those kind of.
Sure. So this one was inspired by my wife, who likes to get mad at me. So she says, "I hate you, Sonny Wong," and she's throwing a shoe, but she sometimes throws shoes, but no, she doesn't really show through shoes. So that's kind of the art styles that I do for myself, cartoony, kind of not so serious, whimsical.
But then you also do you're in two different worlds too. So you do paintings, but you also work in digital platforms, right? You work in Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, and stuff like that. So it's a kind of a different way of looking at things, a little bit more technical aspects. You got to look at pixels and resolutions and stuff like that. How does one navigate that as an artist who maybe came from a time when computers weren't so heavy in the arts, and how was that transition for you? And
yeah. So yeah, I do live with my feet in two different worlds. So I have paintings that I really just do for myself for fun. It doesn't have a client associated to it. And the other part of my life is working digitally, professionally. And I use the same ideas when it comes to how I'm going to be creative. But digital art and professional art usually is less fun, less loose. And especially if it has a client associated with it, I've got to make the client happy. That's the number one goal.
Sonny, your work, especially when I was looking at the plein air piece, there tends to be sometimes regional influence, but from artists that influence each other. You see it a lot in the pottery world here in Humboldt, that a lot come from the old Reg Minty school of making pottery based on classes at CR. But I noticed your art and a couple of others, like the fellow named Jesse, who are on that sort of outside cartoonish world, and you stand apart from the rest of the gang of Humboldt artists. What's your comments on that as you stand apart from that kind of belonging to a region?
Well, I do definitely have influences here. I mean, Dwayne Flatmo has influenced me with my characters. Sean Griggs has influenced me and Matt Beard with their landscapes. I think, compared to a lot of the local artists, I was really influenced by graffiti, just seeing it when I was a kid, when I would go to the city with my mom, and as I grew up and learned more about it. So a lot of my style has those elements in it. Even my landscape painting, it has elements that I would have used for graffiti. And graffiti is, it's a letter-based art form, often gets a bad rap because of, people put it in places where it shouldn't be, but it highly influenced me, and maybe that's what might make mine stand out a little, or not right in the center.
Sonny, message from the chat here. One of our members is a painter as well, outstanding painter. A couple of art shop questions. Sonny, do you have a favorite traditional medium? And then the second question is, do you have a favorite brand of paint for exterior murals?
Well, I'll handle the second question first. I do have a favorite brand of paint. It's Nova Color, and you can get it online. It comes, just the texture of it's really creamy. It's really vibrant. It holds up outside in the sun. They even have also a UV protectant you can put over it after you're done painting. So that's my number one favorite. As far as traditional mediums, I paint with acrylic the most. If we're just talking about painting, that'd be my choice. But my favorite thing to do is block prints. So linoleum block prints.
Explain that process. We kind of went over it a couple of times when we were looking at like Hokusai and stuff like that. But how do you make a block print? I mean, it's kind of laborious, right?
Oh, okay. It is. Yeah, it's a lot of work, and I think that's one of the things that I like about it is that you really, once you get your image. So just to start from the absolutely ground zero, you have a flat piece of linoleum, like let's say a rubber stamp that hasn't been carved. If you stuck it in a block of ink and you hit it down, it would just be a black square, whatever shape the stamp is. And so then you're removing surface area, and in the end, what you don't cut away is what prints. So usually for a block print, I will draw with a nice thick Sharpie, something that I normally don't draw with, because I can go back and shave these lines down to exactly how I want them to be in the end.
Cool.
Do you need more? Like, because you know, you got to roll the ink on and press the paper down and make sure that it is laborious.
Yeah. Now, do you have like a press that you use for that, or do you do it by hand and just hand register? Or
Yeah, nowadays I just do it by hand. So what I do is I'll put the paper on the inked linoleum block, and I actually rub it for like 5 minutes with the back of a wooden spoon until my arm is just super tired, and it's usually still not enough. Then usually I try to just get one really good print nowadays, because I can scan it, take it into Illustrator, and make it a vector art so that I can reproduce it at any size, and use digital platforms to print it also.
Going back to that outdoor paint for murals, the Nova, is it oil-based or acrylic?
It's acrylic, so it's easy to clean up. If you spill it, you can clean it up if you're on it quick.
Fantastic.
And it dries fast.
Like 20-minute dry time, depending on the temperature.
Yeah, I mean, if you're sitting in the sun on a sunny walk, it could be minutes.
Okay. Wow.
So, Sonny, how is art doing among young people? Are you seeing young artists, teenagers who are grasping traditional methods, or are they influenced by digital? Where do you see it going?
Well, you know, I mean, I do spend some time with teenagers that I have in my house, so I don't have exposure to many teenagers, but my kids, they love painting. So I'll come home and they'll have my paint sets out, and they'll be painting paintings.
Cool.
So, I mean, I get a sense that, you know, and maybe even COVID, with people staying home and having more time, that, you know, a kid getting bored is more apt to get into making art.
Now, do you think that they're embracing these digital art making methods more so than maybe our generations? Or
Yeah, 100%. And again, I have to just go to the references. My children, and my son, he's 19, and he knows a lot more digital art things than I do. He uses a blender to make 3D realities, and these things you can go and send to a 3D printer, and they print them up, ship them to you. Knows how to make pixel art, and there's a lot of free resources that kids know a lot more about than adults.
awesome.
Excuse me.
And what about your commercial work? Have you seen growth in any industry? I'm just thinking, I'm kind of moving you towards maybe like the shirt you're wearing. Like I know in my last couple of years is really hitting it as a graphic designer. There was a lot of growth in a certain industry in the digital art world. Would you say that's the same case for you? Do you think that there's careers there for emerging artists?
Most definitely. I mean, so as Simon is alluding to, my shirt is a Walks. It's a cannabis company brand that I manage, and also, so I work for a company called Bear Extraction House, which has multiple brands, and it's in the cannabis industry, and it definitely is allowing jobs for professional graphic designers, where they're, you know, it's hard to be a graphic designer and, you know, not get paid what you should be getting paid, what other graphic designers are getting paid outside of the redwood curtain. So I almost liken it to the timber industry, where there is extra money and people paying like professional wages, and there's a huge need for graphic design in the cannabis industry. There's so many compliance issues. There's signage that has to be done. There's pamphlets, brochures, package design.
So it keeps you pretty busy. You feel like
nonstop.
Yeah, that's good to see that there's economic opportunities out there for artists that are emerging from this. Somebody's asking, do you have a website or an Instagram account? I know you've got a Facebook for sure. Yes. Tell us more.
Well, I do have an Instagram account. I'm sorry, what was the last part, Simon?
Yeah, how do we see your art? How do we check out more of your work?
Okay, so my Instagram is Sonny the Fly God, and that's SONNTHEFLYGOD, Sonny the Fly God. And that's where a lot of my art is. That's why I don't use Facebook as much anymore. I do, if I share some things on Instagram, I might put it on Facebook, but I don't use that platform as much anymore. I have a website called Cult of the Wild. That's CULT of the Wild. And that's a website that I started with my wife. And it's not only my art, but it's also products that we sell, like t-shirts. My wife makes soap, beard oil, beard balm, chapsticks. So that's another place where you would see some of my, at least, art that's for sale.
And that Cult of the Wild's also kind of like a lifestyle brand too, because you're really into outdoor living and camping and stuff like that. Maybe explain how those two things gel. And
yeah, so Cult of the Wild is actually, I was backpacking in camp reading Desert Solitaire, and God, I cannot remember his name right now. But anyways, in the book Desert Solitaire, there's a line about all these like Whitman and guys who were out there in nature, and he referred to them as the Cult of the Wild. And I thought, oh man, that is a really rad way to describe a group of people who just love being outdoors. So that's what I named the brand after.
fantastic. Hey, well, I think we're getting pretty close to the buzzer, but is there any final questions for Sonny Wong? No, I'm just going to follow up with one last comment, and that's, Sonny, you've been a huge inspiration to me through my artistic career, and definitely showed me a lot of things early on when I was just kind of getting into it. I'm just always very, very open and free with just collaborating with people, and you know, whatever you knew, you were free to share it. And I just love that, and I thank you for it big time. And goodness, to think that we live a block away. I know 20 years ago, I probably would have been at your house every single day knocking on your door. So that's pretty fantastic. But I just really admire your work, man. It's
Thank you.
Keep doing it.
Will do.
Killer. All right. Well, before we part, we're gonna do a drawing, and we could win untold fortunes, right, Ross? Or
$55.
Or $55, whichever one comes first. So I'm going to draw a ticket out of this spray painted mayonnaise jar, and well, it'll have somebody's name on it. And Dennis Scott is not here, so he doesn't win. Who's next? Up to Don Watkins, all the way from Omaha, Nebraska. Could you be the winner? All right, here goes. Oh, no, it's guest fine master. Oh, that's fun. You want to do that, Don? Okay. All right. Don will be our fine master sometime soon, whenever you get back from Nebraska. And the rest of you outstanding Rotarians, you didn't win this week. Let's see, before we go, I'd like to thank our guest speaker this morning, Sonny Wong. Thank you again for coming out. Salute, sir.
My pleasure.
And we're waving our fingers. This is how we applaud in Zoom. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you for showing up every week on Zoom, almost my entire year. But hey, next week we're meeting in person down there at Hot Brew. 6:45 is usually when people start congregating. I think they'll let us in around 6 a.m. that morning. So
Simon, you and I are going to be way out of practice, so we better get there at 5:30.
Okay, or maybe even just do a run through or something before the day up or something.
We'll do a whole dry meeting and then do the meeting.
Yeah, maybe we should set up the day before.
Yeah, go down there and meet up or something. I'm totally down. All right, super. We'll stay in touch, Ross. The rest of you have a wonderful Rotary Day. Enjoy yourselves. Be good in this world. Service above self. All that good stuff. See y'all around. This club meeting is adjourned.